Hello, you wonderful people, and welcome to another episode of Crime Centric. This being a show where I talk about crime dramas that I watch. For today's episode, I'm going to talk about the latest episodes of The Blacklist. So this episode, episodes, there were back-to-back new episodes. So obviously I'll be running through the episodes, the first episode, then I'll be doing the second episode. Starting off with the first episode, from the very beginning we have Dembe kidnapping Haram, and everyone's just like up and like, oh, why is he doing this? Obviously Haram is thinking like, oh, I'm not going to help you steal from Mr. Reddington. It's like, no, I'm not trying to steal from him. As I guess, boom, Dembe is looking for proof. Obviously at the beginning, like, Reddington is kind of in disbelief, obviously. Like, apparently, like, the month time that the show's been away has been, obviously within the confines of the show, Reddington has been looking for Dembe. But Dembe is very smart and capable, and he's been covering his tracks pretty well. That someone with his resources, even Reddington can't find him. So it's a situation where obviously Liz is helping him do it. Now, as I figured it, like, Dembe was trying to cover, like, I was like, I threw out a possibility, but I was leaning more towards, I knew from the beginning it just had to be a red herring. Because why? Because they already got me last season with the whole faking Liz's death situation. I had a feeling it was fake from the beginning, but then I doubted myself, and then it turned out I was right. But nevertheless, in this situation, I threw out the other possibility. I was like, nah, it's a red herring. It has to be. And that's what it is. And Dembe's he's not telling Reddington, mainly because it was him who served him the poison. And at the same time, it's also like, you know, he needs proof. Because the fact of the matter is, and it's slightly sad, because the reason why he's under this impression why he's doing this is because he saw what Reddington did to Kate. And it's like, if I don't find proof, Reddington's not going to believe me. He's going to most likely kill me like he did Kate. No matter what her reasons were, the fact that she still quote unquote betrayed him. So obviously, like, I don't want to be the next person, because I also have to, like, even it probably bothered him to a little bit of a degree when Reddington went to Dembe's daughter and granddaughter after he went through the trouble of hiding them, and just for Reddington to find them like that, which, you know, I'm sure scared him a little bit, because it's like, don't, you know, I'm sure there's a part of his, like, he's loyal to Reddington, because he even said it to Haram. He's like, there are 3 people in this world that mean something to me. The only 3 people I have in this world: my daughter, my granddaughter, and Reddington. And so I'm sure there's a part of his brain that's like, you know, Reddington might be so paranoid that he wants to use my family to get to me, but it's like, no, you know, he tries to tell him that Kate's alive. But to be told is, he's actually lucky that Reddington kind of did what he did, because obviously it wasn't the intention, but it kind of started off that way. The fact is that obviously he started off wanting to hunt down Dembe because he wanted to hear it from Dembe's mouth himself. But because if Reddington hadn't tracked down his family like he did, because there's a lady in this episode, obviously she goes by a fake name. Obviously we end up finding her name is Vanessa. She's a doctor. Basically her family ran a group known as the Sanctum Corporation. Basically, they relocate, kind of like witness protection for criminals. And basically, Vanessa was working her way down the list. This is all about revenge, because basically her family, they ran like had a honey farming type of business. But basically they started working, you know, through the Sanctum Corporation, and they made like a crap ton of money. Well, the fact of the matter is their house got burned down and her parents died, and she was the only survivor. The only person that would have known about that large amassment of money is one of the people they helped relocate. So someone came there trying to get in. They ended up burning the house down. So she's basically been slowly working her way down the list, killing everyone because obviously, like I said, it had to be someone on that list. And for her, she rationalized it as like, for one, it's like, obviously, you know, these people like were to my family because they obviously did something bad that they're trying to hide from. So that's why she's like, I'm kind of doing a service to them. And I kept wondering, and I'm glad we got an answer to it, like why she kept putting stuff on herself and letting the bees like onto her body. It's basically because she suffered very bad scarring and infections from the burn. Well, the bees are supposed to help with the infection as well as healing some of the scarring on her body. But that's what this was all about, revenge. And so, and the reason why I say it's good that Reddington did what he did, because Dembe's daughter and granddaughter were on that list. And the thing is, like, it makes you wonder, would she have gone through if she had got to truth be told, she doesn't care who the person is or why they're hiding. The fact is that they are hiding. Like, the fact is, I think of the people she could, granted, we only know one of the people that she did get killed, and maybe another person that she obviously, the guy that she, like, that Reddington helped get away. So, like, those are the only 2 people we know of, but who's to say she wasn't actually, there was a lot more to the list that she had already gotten to, but who knows what would have happened if she had gotten down to Dembe's daughter and granddaughter. So, in a way, it helped. Coincidentally, I mean, I guess you can think of it as serendipitous. I've kind of talked about this before. That's kind of my favorite word now, so I kind of am using it a lot, so I do apologize for that. But obviously it comes out because Aram ended up helping him get away and everything. Had helped Dembe get away, and he kind of brought that information, and it got back to Reddington when and then he, like, the moment he heard the name Catherine, is it Minnick? That's Kate's real name, and it's like, thank you. I knew it from the beginning. The moment Kate wasn't dead, I said, that's it. Kate's definitely going. She's probably most likely going to come back for revenge. And it's like, oh, somebody's hitting Reddington. It has to be someone closer. It's like, Kate, I saw this coming a mile away, and I'm glad I saw it. I mean, granted, we don't know 100% because it seems like there might be more to this. I mean, maybe not. Like, obviously, a lot of it came up in the second episode, but I'll get to that eventually. So, obviously, you also had that guy that she met, the one that kind of helped her recuperate. That was kind of interesting. The fact is, he was about to attack Dembe. He's like, oh, the fact of the matter is, you and Reddington, the fact is, he went after her and everything, going after a defenseless woman. But the fact is, even with the two of you together, he still couldn't make sure that she was dead. Because that's really quickly, I want to think, like, why would she do that to Dembe, put Dembe in that position to make it look like it was him? And I'm guessing more so than anything, it's because he sat back and let Reddington do what he did. Like, I guess even throughout their friendship and everything, he still held no, like, he tried to talk, like, Reddington out of doing it, but it's like, you didn't do anything to stop him. You didn't really try hard enough. He attempted to kill me, so obviously she holds animosity towards him for that, with rightful reason, but it's like putting him in that position to be framed and everything, being set up to be, maybe, I don't know, maybe on some level she was hoping that when it came time to it, when Dembe found out, maybe Dembe would still be afraid that he'd come to her, or maybe she was okay with Reddington killing Dembe, because it's like, okay, you killed me because I quote unquote betrayed you, so now I'm gonna make you kill this other person that has been by your side for so long, that's always, that you're literally, as I said, one of the 3 people he cares about most in this world, so... But that guy was like sticking up for Kate. He was like, oh, the fact of the matter is, like, this is kind of revenge for Kate. Obviously didn't work out for him. I mean, but the fact is, even at the very end of it all, he wouldn't give up Kate. He ended up blowing himself up. He knew it would, like, even Kate warned him, like, it wasn't going to be enough to take down Reddington, but at the very least, it put him in a position where he wouldn't have to worry about possibly ever giving her up. So it's interesting that he's so, I guess... Because we never really found out 100% of what his deal is. It seems like he's just the kind of guy that's like, don't like government interference. So it's like, I don't like people in my business. But I guess in that short amount of time, he kind of got acquired. Like, Kate was kind of like an acquired taste. And he kind of, grew to like her. Probably like the only interactions he's really had with anyone in a very long time. So she easily became a friend. And I guess he understood why she was doing what had happened to her, and understood like what she was doing, that she was going to get her revenge, so he was willing to help her out and everything. It's like, even contacts like early in episodes, like, by the time you hear this, I probably won't be dead. I promise I won't give you. I won't. That means I didn't give you up. The fact is, he's like, the fact is, you got the war that you wanted, Katie. Kate, have at it. Because he ended up bringing something up to Reddington. The fact is that him and Reddington and Kate are very similar. And the fact is that they are relentless in their pursuit. They will stop at nothing to deal with needs to be dealt with. So, obviously, I'll dive more into it within the second episode, but another storyline element was the fact is Aran was with Janet when he got kidnapped. I was like, at first I was like, oh, this must be like a flashback or something. It's like, no, Dembe's here. Wait, this is wait, why are you with Janet? What about you and Samar? And it's like, apparently, like, and it's sucky because you have Janet talking like, oh yeah, the fact is, talking to Samar and everything. It's like, okay, can't we just push past all this silence and everything and admit that we're into the same guy? And Samar's just staring at her. It's like, okay, I guess we'll just kind of keep it this way. And she's kind of talking about things about Aram. It's like, oh, the fact is, I'm a bit of an instigator. I got him to drink his first bit of alcohol and stuff like that. And she's like, oh, like, I can tell this bothers you. He's like, what are you talking about? It's like, the fact is that I know Aram better than you do. Which on some level, it does. But eventually, like, the fact is, later on when he gets back, he ends up hugging Janet. And you see Samar looking. He looks at Samar looking. And he's like telling her the fact is he admires her intensity. But it's like that same intensity that scares him because of like what it might do. I guess just everything. Because she has this presence about her that, I don't know. Like, I really don't. I guess he feels like he wouldn't be enough to really be enough to make her happy is what I'm assuming. When she's at the end of the day, she's like, I don't care what you admire about me. Like, I really just don't care. And they leave it at that, which is sad. It's like, Ron, I get, because at the end of the day, it's like he's scared. Part of me was wondering, is like, is there more to this? Is Janet framing you or something? It's like, why go back to Janet? And like, she used you and manipulated you. But I guess after their last run in with, I can't remember his character's name, but it's the one that had Brett Spiner as a guy, that were basically him and Janet reconnected. And I guess, but like I said, him and Samara kind of were like on good terms. And it's just like, that had to happen. And it's like, it sucks. Like, just because at the end of the day he was afraid to I think that's what it stems from. It was a situation where I think both of them are really afraid to kind of take the step forward. And the moment Samara's ready to take that step forward, he takes a step back. And it's like, you obviously had a thing for her for such a long time, and the opportunity's there. Like, she's ready to take that step forward, and you mess it up like that. It's like, Aram, you idiot. That's all I gotta say. And it's like, I don't know if there's going to be any coming back from this. At the very least, I hope there is, but I mean, we'll just kind of have to wait and see. So that's where that bit of the episode left off. But I really just a fantastic episode on its own, but really like the second episode too, because we got a look at Kate's past, finding out all these little things about why she's so attached to Liz, why she's so willing to protect her. We learned that Kate was originally hired by Katerina to be Masha's nanny, essentially. Basically, while Katerina was off doing what she needed to do, obviously being the KGB and stuff, that, she would follow all the guidelines, that basically Kate would do everything that Masha would, to basically keep, in her words, the continuity of, like, that warmth. So it's like, Masha never grew up not really feeling that empty void. It's like, no, like, Kate would be there to kind of take over that spot, to treat her like her mom would, could kind of feel that role. But she's like, you can do all that, dress her the way I would, talk to her, say the things I would, but the one thing you can't do is fall in love with her. Cannot love her, because that's just my job only, and I just obviously complicate things, because I don't want you to hold some attachment to her. Which Kate's like, I know, like, any kids I've ever taken care of in the past, like, I take pride in it, but I do not love them per se. Like, I'm kind of considering what she says later on makes me question that. Maybe Liz was a special case, but nevertheless, she says, like, I never get attached to the kids because they're not mine. I always know that I care for them and raise them, but I never love them because I know that they're not my own. So, but they spend time together and everything. And eventually there was a situation where Katerina is attacked and she's about to choke this dude out with like a cord, and Kate slides her a knife and kills, and it's like, hey, okay, so clean up. She's like, Alexander's on his way here. I can't let him see this. It's like, go clean up. Kate's like, I'll handle this. What she does. And even later on, Katerina's like, I was thinking about killing you just for the sake of covering things up. But it's like, yeah, but the fact is she learns from Kate, like, what Kate did to the body. And it's like, this can't be Kate's first rodeo. I don't know whether this is Kate's first experience doing this type of thing, but it explains like how she became the person that she was. She was the cleaner. That's why she was so good at what she did when it came to Reddington, because she'd already done it before. Now, necessarily was Katerina her first time, like what that time Katerina was at the first time she'd ever done a cleanup job? I don't know. Like, the fact is that she was so boom, boom, boom on top of it makes me think otherwise. I mean, granted, it just could be just for the fact is that Kate's like a super smart lady, so. As time goes on, obviously, eventually there's the affair that Katerina had with Reddington, which she's like, I don't necessarily know that I love him. I mean, truth be told, she's like, the only thing I love in this world is Masha. That's the only thing she knows for sure. But she's like, things with Reddington are hot and just kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of a spur of the moment thing. It's kind of almost like a fling. But things get complicated when things kind of break off and Reddington kidnaps Masha, because she's like, yeah, Reddington thinks that she's his daughter. Is she? And like, the fact is that Katerina's like, I don't know, because he was all like, as we found out earlier this season, like, she was with the KGB and all Reddington was a mission. And we ended up finding out Alexander was the same thing too, but they were both missions for her to kind of investigate and everything. They both go to America to deal with this whole situation, get her back. Then the whole house fire situation, and obviously, like, Katerina kind of points out, it's like, yeah, and even Masha, and she even says it to Masha in Russian, like, yeah, that guy was a bad man. So alluding to like the time that she quote unquote shot her dad, which she may not have. I mean, that's probably Reddington lying, saying that. I mean, still there's a situation where Reddington's like, I never lied to her. I don't know. Because not even Reddington's probably sure who Liz's actual dad is, because like even Katerina didn't know. I mean, because obviously the beginning thing, like, and I assumed it the first time when I originally was watching, like, the first season of the show, it's like, yeah, it's painting, like, oh, obviously the twist is going to be that Reddington's her dad. It's like, maybe not. But they got Masha back, but she has to leave because now all the agencies are after her. The KGB, as well as the American Intelligence Agency, are after her because of her affair with Reddington. So now it puts a target on both their backs, essentially. So she asked Kate to give Liz to Sam. But the crazy thing is, like, I didn't even notice about Sam. Maybe they brought this up, like, back in season 1 when Sam appeared, but it was around, obviously before Reddington killed him. But it's like, I don't remember them bringing up the fact is that Sam had a checkered past. Apparently, he's like, I'm a grifter. I don't have time to be, like, with a kid because I'm trying to get my life back together. I'm trying to go on a straight and narrow, but it's like, I can't do that if I have a kid. But, you know, Sam is the one person that both Reddington as well as Katerina trust, and, like, Kate wants to. She wants to be with Masha. She wants to, you know, be with Masha as well as be with Katerina. And it's like, we need to be together, like, kind of like, because she promised her too, because it's like, she, like, and that, I brought this up previously, like, the fact is that she said she never gets attached to kids, but it's like, she even says it to Masha, being like, I love you. But, you know, Katerina, as we can see in the background when she's calling Kate for the final time, what ends up happening is that we see the background. It's the same place that Reddington went to after he thought Liz was dead and ended up, you know, imagining that whole scenario in that house. It's like the place that she was at. So that's what that was alluding to. So I appreciate the continuity there. I know it's such a stupid thing of me to say. Nevertheless. And obviously she just disappeared. Kate removed herself from Masha's life, not because she wanted to, but it was because as the nanny, if people knew the connection, it's like, oh, you're the nanny. Oh, so obviously this kid that's with you is everything would track back to Kate because it's like of her connection to Katerina, and it would have eventually led people to Masha. So she distanced herself, left Masha, Liz, with Sam, and she went off and tried to find a new life, and she ended up meeting Ann Kaplan. Hence the name Mr. Kaplan that she got, kind of goes by. And this actually ties back into Nico. Maybe they brought this up originally earlier in the season, like, because obviously Nico was someone that obviously he got tortured to find out whatever they could, because obviously when they were tracking down Alexander, and it's like, that was the person she was like, please don't do this, because that was someone important to her. Basically, she was the uncle to a woman that Kate cared about very strongly named Annie. Played by, I need to learn the actress's name because I see her pop up in things from time to time. I know her as Marcy from, I think that was her name, Marcy, from Daredevil, the TV show. So that was someone she cared about. That her uncle was Nico, and as we know, present day Nico is dead. But that's why Kate cared about him so much, because it's like, because obviously dissatisfied dude, because basically Nico sent some dudes after him, but it's like, it was at his dad's funeral. He came there, got a little upset. Things happened, like he kind of was a little happy on the trigger, ended up shooting both Kate and Annie. Annie subsequently ended up dying, which this is how we ended up finding out how Kate survived the bullet, because where Reddington had shot her, the bullet, like she had a metal plate because she'd already been shot in that area before. That's why she was able to survive the bullet when Reddington shot her. And it's something I forgot to bring up in the first half when I was talking about the first episode, is the fact is that Reddington himself is like, it was careless of me to do what I did, because of the fact is I didn't double check on the whole Kate situation to make sure she was dead, because maybe on some level there was part of me that was hoping that she would live. And you even saw Liz crying, because the fact that, because Liz, like, you know, it's like, okay, at least that it makes it a little bit better, because it's like Kate is kind of an important part of everything, and it's like, and not unless I missed it, but I'm pretty sure, obviously, that Liz knows nothing about Kate's connection. I don't think she does, but I think she was just crying because it was like, that was someone she became accustomed to. It's like, she helped me and my baby, especially because I think on some level, you know, you have Liz feeling guilty about it, because it's like, you know, Kate was just trying to help me and protect me and my baby. So it's like, I can't, you know, she feels bad about the whole situation, so she probably blames herself on some level for getting Kate killed. But for Kate, it was like, no, I'm just doing what I needed to do. But the thing is, like you know, you had Nico being like, the fact of the matter is, I know how important Annie was to you and how important you were to her, and the fact of the matter is that practically made you family, so we're family. So that's why, like, the whole Nico situation hit her so hard like that. So. And then we got the big twist when it's like Reddington comes to her. And at that time I was like, because when I see this whole thing situation build, I'm like, why why would Kate ever work for Reddington? She downright hates him. And it's like she put her feelings for him aside because it's like the fact of the matter is we have a mutual interest protecting Liz. Because Reddington's like, yeah, I'm a criminal and everything. I'm not going to apologize for that. But the fact of the matter is everyone that's ever come after Katarina, those who are after her, the sharks are circling and they're coming for Masha. So we have to protect her. So he was already a criminal to begin with, but he became an even bigger criminal. Side note, since I'm thinking about it, the reason why Catherine Nimmick disappeared those 30 years ago is obviously she went into hiding, but obviously this was probably around the time like Reddington really built up his empire. So I don't know if it was like the 20 years that he was on the run or not, or whether it was I don't know whether this was a little prior to that 20 years, or like was that 20-year span when he built his criminal empire, like. Because there was like a 20-year period he was on FBI's most wanted list, obviously. So I'm thinking that's the time when he built up his empire. But all of it was for the sake of protecting Liz. Because if he becomes the big bad guy, then no one's going to come questioning him if he uses his resources to hide her and stuff like that. Which Kate puts it all aside because it's like we both want her protected. Because obviously we care about Masha as well as care about Katarina is why we're all doing this. So for that sake, Kate put her feelings for Reddington aside because at the end of the day, she cares about Liz. And this is her way of making sure that she's able to protect Liz, which obviously we skip forward to what we know as the beginning of the series of the Blacklist. And we see Reddington watching this right before he's turning himself into the FBI. And Kate's like, do not do this, Reddington. All you're going to do is ruin her life. You're going to take away her innocence. And he brings up the fact is, yeah, I sent Tom to keep an eye on her. And what does he do? He marries her. Then it's like the sharks are now closing in. I have to be in her life to make sure I protect her. And at the end of the day, Kate ends up being like, because obviously she talks to Reddington at the end of the episode, like after all this like story that got built. And it's like, she ultimately believes it's like, no, you're not doing this for Liz's sake. This has all been about control. Because Kate had originally made it clear to Reddington all those years ago, when it came down between you and me, I would always put Liz first. Like she always comes first because that's the job I'm in here for. I'm not here to protect you. But for Reddington, he's like, I built this empire for the sake of protecting her. So it's like, it's time to put this job to work. And when everything's said and done, so now it's understandable. I love this because it puts more context to everything, because it's like why she went out of her way, why she cared so much about Liz. You know, it's because of how important, because Liz was probably like a daughter to her. Like Liz meant a lot to her. Katarina, even she admits it to Annie. Like Miss Kate's like Annie. I mean that Katarina was probably like her best friend, because it seems like Kate probably never really got close to anybody throughout her life. But now it adds context to it, because this isn't just about revenge. This is also about protecting Liz. It's like probably in her mind, it's like the only way I'm going to properly protect Liz. Obviously, this is about revenge, but it's also because the fact is I was your confidant. And even through that all, even though it's like, oh, you said this was all about protecting Liz, which I idiotically believed you. I let you like sweep me up with the whole like idea of like this is all for protecting Liz, because in her mind it's probably like you said you knew exactly what to say to kind of get me on your side, and it's like I helped you. I didn't like for these past 20 years I haven't helped you build an empire to protect Liz. I've helped you become the monster that you are. So interestingly enough, because obviously there was a point in an episode where she needed to go to a motel. She was like, I want specifically room 8. She ended up getting 7. There's this whole argument between this couple, and she basically makes the boyfriend disappear. And I was like, oh, was she doing that for their sake? I was like, oh, that's kind of sweet of her. And it's like, oh no, you were getting rid of him so that you like she would be forced to get out of the room so that she can go like try and track him down or whatever, finally leave their motel because they had extended their stay. So I'm sure it was probably a part in that, like him being abusive, but also for the sake of getting out of there. And she cut something out the wall. I'm like, okay, what is she out of the wall? It's like, oh, she's got partners. Is she working for someone? It's like, no, they're working for her, because basically this entire time she's been getting every single body that is buried, all the dark secrets that they hold, like everything dark that Reddington's tried so hard to hide, and everyone that he's ever killed that stood in his way, that knows secrets and stuff, like everyone that's like all the bodies, like she's literally got them lined up. Probably like, as we know, she has recordings of them. I wonder, did she always like, because obviously we saw like there's like she looked at a body, she had a recording of basically like, okay, this is what the body, the weapon and stuff like that. It's like, is she doing that just in case if something happens to her, like the information is already out there, or did she always take notes like that? But it's not till just now that we really kind of found that out about her, that like kind of a bit of a like categorization that she always remembers everything, because I mean her job is to know exactly where the bodies are buried, and now it's kind of like basically Reddington's now got to face the sins of what he did because he tried to kill Kate. Now she's the ultimate weapon against it because she helped him get to where he is. So basically she's going to come after him. She's going to destroy him. So very interested to see where things go from. Just like overall a stellar episode. I appreciate the fact is that we got back to back, and I really appreciate the fact is that we got Kate's story. I mean, in general, I'm just happy to have the Blacklist back, but these were some fantastic episodes, twists and turns like that. And because I was wondering, I was like, what is she amassing? Like, is she amassing an army per se? Which I mean, she might be, but more so than anything, she might not even need an army. With the knowledge she has, she can probably bring Reddington down, but he won't make it easy for her. So it's a full-on war. Which something else I forgot to bring up, like Liz was asking, it's like, okay, the fact of the matter is you both got it at each other, but the fact of the matter is you should be settled now. But it's like, the thing is, and the dude in the woods brought it up, they're both relentless. They've both started. There's no going back from this. He started this when he tried to kill Kate. Kate brought it back up when she came at him and attacked his business. And it's like, so neither one of them is willing to back down because both of them think they're in the right in this particular situation. So, I mean, it's a situation where it's like, yeah, Reddington regrets it, but at the end of the day, he's like, you know, you helping Liz wasn't you helping her. You were just betraying me because you put her in a situation that almost got her killed. So, which I'm sure Kate would be like, the fact of the matter, she wouldn't have been in that situation in the first place if it wasn't for you on multiple levels doing what you did all those years ago. Which I don't think Reddington's ever brought it up. The fact is that he was the one that kidnapped her. I mean, granted, we don't, I don't, like I said, in a situation like this, you never really know 100% who didn't tell. Like, because we still don't know. I brought this up previously. What Reddington told Kirk to make him back down. Like, the fact is he's never coming back. It's like, what did he tell him that is so secret that I'm sure no one knows? Is it something even Kate knows? Because I get the feeling there might be some secrets that even Reddington hasn't let slip to anyone else. So, I mean, I'm very interested to see where this all takes us, especially going forward. Like, because even Reddington's like, yeah, you can come after me, but the fact of the matter is, this kingdom I built has contingency upon a contingency built into it. But Kate's like, don't forget, I was by your side when you built all this. That's how I know where your bodies are. I know exactly how to break this empire you built down. So, very, very interested to see where next week's episode takes us. Do note that obviously this was only a special condition because of like a back-to-back episode. So the Blacklist will be returning to its original time next week at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, for your particular time zone, adjust for time. So, but really, that's all I wanted to talk about in this episode. Till the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day and goodbye.